A god just murdered Earth's greatest heroes. And he has no idea. Something worse just arrived. The sky over Chicago turned red. Not from fire, from blood. Omni-Man floated above the city like a god who had already decided everyone below was expendable. Buildings collapsed. Screams vanished midair. Heroes rushed in, strong, fast, hopeful, and were erased in seconds. Then the shadows moved. No cape fluttered. No battle cry echoed. Just a single figure standing on a shattered rooftop, watching, calculating. Batman didn't see a god. He saw a pattern, a conqueror, a mistake waiting to be exploited. Because in a universe where strength ruled everything, no one had ever weaponized fear, strategy, and patience like this. And for the first time since Viltrum's rise, a god felt watched. Batman didn't fall into this universe like a hero. He arrived like a problem. No light, no announcement, just a ripple in the air above abandoned Detroit, where factories rusted and secrets slept easily. Bruce Wayne rolled across cracked concrete, already moving before his heart rate stabilized. Different sky, different stars, same gravity. Good. He stayed still for 6 seconds, listened, smelled the air, felt wind pressure against his cape. This world was louder, more chaotic frequencies, unfamiliar satellites, military chatter bleeding through encrypted bands. Bruce's cowl AI began mapping immediately, pulling data from every careless signal screaming into the void. His first conclusion was simple. This universe was reckless. Within minutes, he knew the name Cecil Stedman. Global Defense Agency, Black Ops Coordination, extraterrestrial encounters handled with brute force and optimism. Bruce watched archive footage at 10 times speed. Superheroes flying headfirst into threats they didn't understand, celebrating survival instead of preparing for escalation. Amateurs wearing gods' costumes. Then the footage shifted. Omni-Man, Bruce slowed the playback. A man with a smile too controlled, movements too efficient, violence delivered without waste. When Omni-Man fought, he didn't improvise, he executed. Every punch landed with intent. Every kill was clean. No hesitation. No emotional noise. Bruce felt the familiar tightening in his chest. This wasn't a hero who lost control. This was a soldier pretending to be one. Days passed. Batman did not reveal himself. He moved through cities like a rumor, using abandoned infrastructure and borrowed shadows. He stole food, stole power, stole data. This world made it easy. Surveillance was everywhere, but no one expected it to be used against them with precision. He observed Invincible Mark Grayson, strong, fast, inexperienced, emotionally transparent. The kind of hero Bruce had seen die 1,000 times across different battlefields. Mark fought to save people. Omni-Man fought to end fights. That difference, Bruce ran simulations constantly. Viltrumite physiology appeared nearly indestructible. Dense musculature, accelerated healing, near limitless stamina. Conventional weapons were meaningless. Even advanced alien tech barely slowed them. But nothing was perfect. Every system failed somewhere. Bruce analyzed Viltrumite battles frame by frame. Sound waves disrupted balance in several instances, minor but repeatable. Inner ear sensitivity, not lethal, not yet. Viltrumites also relied on psychological dominance. They needed their enemies to believe resistance was pointless. Bruce almost smiled. He watched the Guardians of the Globe from afar. A team built on trust, not contingency. They joked before missions. They didn't suspect betrayal. Bruce flagged the risk immediately, but lacked proof. Still, he archived everything. Body language, eye contact, response times. One detail he couldn't ignore. Omni-Man never stood with his back to a wall. He didn't need to. When the Guardians died, Bruce was underground, monitoring emergency channels. He heard the panic before the news broke. He saw the raw footage Cecil buried. Heroes torn apart in seconds. Brutality efficient enough to be instructional. Bruce shut down the feed himself. Confirmation achieved. Omni-Man was the threat. the central one, the apex predator this universe had mistaken for a protector. Bruce did not mourn the Guardians long. Grief was a luxury. This world was on a countdown now, whether it knew it or not. He moved closer to the Grayson household, not physically, but digitally. Monitored communications, school schedules, hospital records. Mark's injuries told a story of growth, each fight pushing him closer to Viltrumite maturity, closer to becoming something this planet could not stop. Unless guided, Batman hacked GDA black sites without triggering alarms. Cecil was smart, but not paranoid enough. Bruce read classified files on Viltrumite history, fragmented, incomplete, filtered through survivors and guesswork. Empire builders, planetary conquerors, long-game imperialism disguised as benevolence. Omni-Man wasn't an anomaly. He was an advanced scout. Bruce adjusted priorities. Stopping Omni-Man wasn't enough. This universe would need a defense philosophy. Preparation, fear used properly, symbols that reminded gods they could bleed. But first, he needed to stay invisible. One mistake, one public appearance, and Omni-Man would notice. And once noticed, Bruce Wayne would not survive long enough to matter. He understood that clearly. Strength disparities didn't scare him. Predictability did. So Batman became a ghost that he sabotaged quietly, redirected alien tech shipments, modified GDA satellites to record instead of respond, planted failsafes inside defense protocols that only activated under Viltrumite biometric signatures. Cecil felt it. Pressure he couldn't explain. Systems behaving better than expected. Threats resolving themselves before deployment. He suspected a mole. He never suspected Batman. Bruce built his first Viltrumite contingency suit in pieces, scattered across the city. Sound-based emitters, gravimetric anchors, armor layered to absorb kinetic energy that would liquefy tanks. None of it was enough to win. Yet, winning wasn't the goal. Survival was. Delay, exposure. Batman watched Omni-Man smile on morning television, speak about hope, talk about protecting humanity. Bruce compared that footage with the massacre data. The smile never reached the eyes. This universe believed in heroes who saved them. Batman believed in stopping what came after. Batman did not test his plans on Omni-Man. Not yet. You never start with the king when the board is still setting itself up. You test the edges, the pieces no one is watching. The first opportunity came with a Viltrumite deserter. The GDA called him an anomaly, an outlier who had gone rogue after arriving decades ago and hiding among humans. When the alarms triggered, they scrambled jets, sent in enhanced operatives, and prepared for another public disaster. Batman got there first. The Viltrumite sensed him immediately. Yellow eyes locked onto the shadows, lips curling in mild amusement. He floated effortlessly, confident in a body that had never known resistance. "You're not from this world," the Viltrumite said. Batman answered with sound. The air screamed. A focused ultrasonic burst slammed into the Viltrumite skull, not strong enough to kill, but enough to disrupt equilibrium. For the first time in centuries, the alien staggered. Surprise registered, then rage. The fight lasted 27 seconds. That was all Bruce allowed himself. Enough time to deploy gravimetric anchors, enough time to confirm pain thresholds, recovery speed, behavioral response to disorientation. The Viltrumite recovered faster than expected, tearing free from the anchors and smashing Batman through 3 concrete pillars. Bruce let himself be hit. Data mattered more than bones. Smoke swallowed the battlefield as Batman vanished. When the GDA arrived, they found the Viltrumite unconscious, ears bleeding, body vibrating from residual sonic resonance. Cecil reviewed the footage in silence. Someone had beaten him there. Batman adjusted his models. Sound worked, but only as a window, not a weapon. Psychological shock amplified its effect. Viltrumites hated being surprised. They hated being forced to react. Fear destabilized them. He moved his attention back to Mark Grayson. Mark was changing. Faster reflexes, harder landings, less visible damage. His fights were becoming efficient, too efficient. Omni-Man was training him harder now, pushing him toward something final. Bruce watched their sessions from orbit-level drones, invisible against cosmic radiation. Omni-Man corrected Mark's form with words that sounded like encouragement, but carried something colder underneath. "You hesitate," Nolan said. "Hesitation gets people killed." Mark nodded. "Learned." Bruce cataloged the shift. This was how empires were built, one lesson at a time. He needed Mark to see the truth before Nolan decided it was time to stop. Batman began influencing events indirectly. Crime rings collapsed overnight. Alien incursions failed before reaching cities. Mark arrived to empty battlefields, confused and frustrated. Omni-Man noticed too. Something was protecting Earth more efficiently than expected. Bruce let Cecil find him. Not directly, not with a handshake. He leaked just enough impossible data into GDA systems. Predictions of alien arrivals accurate to the second. Cecil followed the thread like a bloodhound, tracing the ghost through dead servers and black sites until finally, a single message appeared on his secure terminal. "You are not ready." Cecil stared at the screen, then typed back, "Neither were you." Batman respected that. They never met in person. Not yet. Communication stayed encrypted, brief, and sharp. Batman fed Cecil truths he wasn't prepared to hear about Viltrumite numbers, long-term invasion strategy, and Omni-Man's role in it. Cecil didn't argue. That scared Bruce more than denial would have. Meanwhile, Omni-Man began searching. Subtle at first. Extra patrols. Unannounced orbital sweeps. He tested Earth's defenses the way a predator tests a fence. Batman stayed ahead, shifting bases, erasing trails, letting Nolan sense something without ever touching it. The tension grew. Mark felt it too. His father was quieter, sharper, less patient. Training sessions ended with craters instead of advice. Batman watched Mark save a bus full of civilians, smiling afterward, proud and exhausted. Bruce felt something twist in his chest. This kid didn't deserve what was coming. So Batman broke one of his rules. He helped Mark directly, without revealing himself. A Kaiju-class alien emerged off the Pacific coast, something designed to measure Earth's response time. Batman intercepted it with a prototype sonic array deployed from the ocean floor. The creature collapsed before Mark ever threw a punch. Mark arrived to cheers instead of screams. Omni-Man arrived seconds later. He stared at the fallen monster, eyes narrowing. "This isn't your work," Nolan said. Mark shook his head. "I don't know what happened." Neither did Nolan. That uncertainty was poison. Batman escalated carefully, each intervention precise, each success unexplained. Omni-Man began losing control, not outwardly, but internally. His superiority depended on certainty. Batman was eroding that foundation. Then came the message. A single broadcast, bouncing off lunar debris, aimed directly at Batman's encryption signature. "I know you're here," Omni-Man said, voice calm, dangerous. "This planet doesn't need another guardian." Batman watched the transmission end. He didn't respond. Not yet. Because Phase 2 wasn't about fighting Omni-Man. It was about making sure that when the truth came out, the world would survive hearing it. Batman began preparing Mark Grayson for betrayal, and preparing Omni-Man for something he had never faced in any conquered world. A war he could not end with strength alone. Batman chose the battlefield. Not a city, not civilians, not somewhere Omni-Man could turn into a message written in blood and rubble. He picked a dead zone, an abandoned industrial arc stretching miles beneath the Nevada desert. Old missile silos, reinforced bunkers, layers of forgotten concrete built for wars that never came. Batman turned it into a trap. Omni-Man arrived anyway. He didn't crash down in fury. He didn't announce himself. He simply appeared, hovering above the largest silo entrance, cape unmoving, eyes already scanning. Nolan Grayson never entered a fight without understanding the terrain. That alone told Batman this would not be a test. This was an execution attempt. "You've been busy," Omni-Man said, voice echoing softly through the cavernous space. Sabotaging threats, undermining systems, confusing my son. Batman stepped out of the shadows, finally visible. Black armor matte against the dim lights. No fear in his posture, no hesitation. You're sloppy, Batman said. For a conqueror. The air exploded. Omni-Man crossed the distance in a fraction of a second. The punch would have turned a tank into scrap. Batman wasn't there anymore. Gravimetric anchors fired from the walls, warping Nolan's trajectory just enough for the strike to miss. The ground cratered anyway. Sonic emitters screamed to life. Omni-Man recoiled, teeth gritting as disorientation hit. Not pain, confusion. Rage flared instantly. He tore through the anchors and lunged again, faster this time, adapting. Batman was already moving. This wasn't a fight to win. It was a fight to learn. Omni-Man smashed him through a reinforced blast door. Batman's armor screamed as kinetic dampeners overloaded. Bones fractured. He stayed conscious. Deployed countermeasures mid-flight. Microdrones swarmed, projecting dissonant frequencies tuned to Viltrumite inner ear sensitivity. Omni-Man faltered for half a heartbeat. That was enough. Batman vanished again. Smoke, darkness, misdirection. Omni-Man tore through concrete like paper, furious now. This wasn't how fights went. This wasn't how worlds fell. He was supposed to dominate, to overwhelm. Instead, he was chasing a shadow that refused to stay dead. You can't hurt me, Nolan growled. I don't need to, Batman replied over comms. I just need you unstable. Omni-Man froze midair. Batman's voice was calm, clinical, certain. You're lying to your son. You're lying to this planet. And for the first time since you arrived here, you don't control the narrative. That landed harder than any sonic burst. Nolan roared and brought the ceiling down. Batman barely escaped, grappling through collapsing tunnels as the entire complex began to implode. He let Omni-Man see him flee. Let him believe this was retreat. Because Phase 3 wasn't about Nolan. It was about Mark. Mark Grayson felt at the moment the shockwaves rippled across the atmosphere. His head snapped up mid-flight. Something ancient in his blood recognized the disturbance. His father was fighting, but not here. Mark reached the site minutes later to find devastation, collapsed silos, scorched earth, and nothing else. No enemy, no answers. Omni-Man arrived behind him, silent. This was nothing, Nolan said. A nuisance. Mark turned, eyes searching his father's face. Then why do you look angry? Nolan didn't answer. That night, Mark couldn't sleep. His head buzzed, not from sound, but from doubt. Batman made his move then, not in person, in truth. Mark's phone lit up with an encrypted file that shouldn't have been possible. Footage, GDA archives, Viltrumite history, planets stripped bare, populations culled, children raised as soldiers and sent to infiltrate worlds just like Earth. At the center of it all, Omni-Man. Mark's hands shook as he watched his father tear through alien cities with the same calm precision he used to mow the lawn. A final message appeared beneath the footage. He will ask you to choose. Choose Earth. Mark barely had time to breathe before Omni-Man landed outside their home. The confrontation came fast. Nolan didn't ease into it. He never had. The truth spilled out sharp and merciless. Viltrum, the Empire, humanity's insignificance. Mark's role as a future conqueror. Mark said no. The fight that followed shook continents. Batman watched from orbit, every muscle locked in place as Mark was beaten, dragged, hurled through cities like a lesson written in bone. Bruce calculated intervention windows constantly and rejected them all. Too early, and Mark would never choose for himself. Too late, and Earth would burn. Then Omni-Man hesitated. Mark, bloodied and broken, still stood. I won't be you, Mark said. Batman triggered Phase 4. The world saw everything. Cecil's systems activated simultaneously. Broadcast towers hijacked. Satellites redirected. Every screen on Earth filled with truth, Viltrumite atrocities, Omni-Man's massacres, the footage Bruce had spent months collecting. The symbol of hope shattered in real time. Omni-Man heard the screams change. Not fear, betrayal. He looked around, finally understanding what Batman had done. Not weakened his body, stripped his authority. Nolan faltered. Mark took that moment and struck, not with strength, but resolve. Omni-Man retreated, torn between mission and something he hadn't felt in centuries. Guilt. He fled the planet. Batman landed beside Mark hours later, armor damaged, cape torn, but standing. "You planned all of this," Mark said weakly. Batman nodded. "I planned for survival." Mark looked at the sky his father had vanished into. "Is it over?" Batman's jaw tightened. "No," he said. "It's begun. Because Viltrum would come. And this time, Earth would be ready." Batman didn't celebrate victories. He cataloged them. Omni-Man was gone, but that didn't mean the war was over. Bruce Wayne knew better. Viltrumites didn't retreat. They waited, calculated, and returned stronger. And now the universe had noticed Earth. Mark Grayson had survived the confrontation, but the psychological cracks were deep. He wasn't just battered. He was questioning everything he had been taught, everything he believed. His father's betrayal was a wound, but Bruce saw potential, a weapon forged from doubt, self-reflection, and discipline. Batman moved like a shadow across the planet. Cities rebuilt themselves in the days after Omni-Man left, but the streets were different now. People whispered of the man in black, who always arrived where trouble seemed inevitable, though no one knew how or why. Bruce's presence was subtle. Surveillance grids rerouted, criminal networks dissolved, alien threats neutralized before they struck. Mark watched him in secret, fascinated. He had never met anyone like this. Batman never boasted, never bragged. Everything he did was calculated, precise, and almost invisible. Mark tried to follow his logic, tried to anticipate his moves. "You think too much," Bruce said one night as Mark hovered nearby, exhausted from another patrol. "That's why you fight carelessly. Strength alone isn't enough. You survive because you understand consequences." Mark frowned. "Then why do you stay in the shadows? Why not help openly?" "Because if you rely on others to fight for you," Batman said, voice low, "you lose more than battles. You lose control of the war." Bruce had begun implementing Phase 4, the psychological war. He didn't need to face every threat physically. Fear, strategy, and perception were weapons stronger than fists. He manipulated alien operatives, intercepted communications, leaked selective intelligence to governments and the GDA. Each action was designed to create uncertainty, fracture alliances, and make enemies overreach. Omni-Man had always counted on certainty. Batman dismantled that. Mark became the first test subject. Bruce guided him indirectly, through encrypted messages, anonymous tips, and carefully curated situations. The boy learned to anticipate threats, improvise under pressure, and understand the fine line between victory and disaster. His powers were incredible, but Bruce made sure Mark's mind grew just as fast. It worked. The first time Mark hesitated in combat, he noticed it himself. He realized that he could control outcomes not just with strength, but with patience, observation, and timing. Batman had planted these lessons carefully, ensuring that when the next Viltrumite threat came, Mark would be ready to lead, not just fight. Bruce also expanded his arsenal. He built new devices designed to challenge Viltrumite physiology. High-frequency emitters, reinforced energy nets, gravitic traps, and stealth tech that allowed him to observe undetected. Each experiment pushed the limits of science and strategy. Nothing was wasted. Every encounter, every test, was recorded, analyzed, and repurposed. The world began noticing changes. Alien incursions failed more often. Criminal empires collapsed with surgical precision. News outlets debated if the planet was safer, but no one could explain how. Some whispered of a guardian who operated without recognition, a ghost in the system. Omni-Man returned months later, scanning Earth from orbit. He sensed the difference immediately. Something had changed. Earth's defenses were sharper, faster, more coordinated. And yet, there was no visible army, no superpowered coalition waiting for him. Batman had built something intangible: fear, uncertainty, strategy. And the Viltrumite could feel it. Tactile, invisible, almost alive. Mark faced his father again in a private confrontation. He didn't attack. He questioned. He forced Nolan to confront consequences he hadn't considered in centuries. And Bruce was watching, guiding silently, ensuring Mark's words struck true without physical intervention. "You've underestimated humans," Mark said, voice steady despite bruises. "You've underestimated me." Omni-Man's response was instinctive. He lashed out, but he was slower this time, distracted by the cracks Batman had exploited. Mark dodged, countered, and for the first time, fought for more than brute strength. Strategy, intuition, and fear of loss drove his actions. Batman observed from shadows above the city. Every move, every choice Mark made, every hesitation of Omni-Man, it was data. It was a blueprint. Bruce knew the next encounter would be decisive. The psychological war had already begun. He had also begun manipulating global perception. The world had been shown Omni-Man's betrayal, yes, but Bruce ensured the focus wasn't just on devastation. It was on resilience. Humanity survived because of strategy, observation, and calculated action. Not luck, not raw power. He was teaching the planet to think, to fight, to survive, long before Omni-Man or any Viltrumite could return. Omni-Man didn't know it, but the battlefield was already set. And the people he thought were powerless were now armed with the most dangerous weapons of all: knowledge, unpredictability, and the shadow that never struck directly, but was always there. Phase 4 was working. The next Viltrumite to arrive would find a world prepared, not with armies, but with minds that could outthink odds. And in the center of it all, silently guiding, orchestrating, and calculating, was Batman. Mark watched him one night as he disappeared into the shadows, cape fluttering silently. "One day," Mark said quietly, almost to himself, "I want to be like him." Bruce didn't answer. He never did. But he knew the boy would be ready. Because survival wasn't about strength. It was about preparation, patience, and fear. And fear, Batman wielded better than anyone. The night ended not with celebration, but with vigilance. Because Viltrum would return. And when it did, Earth would be ready. Mark clenched his fists, side by side with the Dark Knight. "We'll stop them next time." Bruce nodded. "We always do." The city slept. The world waited. And Batman watched, planned, and prepared. This was the end of the first battle, and the beginning of a war the universe would never forget.